Welcome everybody to Capes and Scowl's Royal Rumble Review. And I'm Tim, and I'm going to tell you all about the Rumble with spoilers, so if you don't want spoilers, now's your chance to opt out. And this will be a quick 5-minute review of the Rumble. Can you review the Rumble in 5 minutes? Absolutely you can. It was a very good pay-per-view. It took place on January 24th of 2016. It was sponsored by Chex, and it was from the Amway Center in Orlando, Florida. And you had a couple matches before the big Rumble. This pay-per-view was presented very well. This needs to be your number 2 or 3 pay-per-view each year. It's always been number 2 to Mania, but now with the Money in the Bank briefcase, it's just as desirable as the Rumble win. But, that being said, we kicked off the night with Kevin Owens versus Dean Ambrose. This match was brutal. It was everything I wanted from a last man standing match. Because they just went hard the whole time. They did things that weren't necessarily huge and innovative, but the spots were put together good. The rush to get back to their feet was portrayed very well. And I feel like they did a very good job. Next, you have a match with the Usos challenging the New Day. The match was pretty fast-paced, pretty good. I had even forgotten this match was on the card leading into it. That's how much hype I felt it got. The Usos are good, but the New Day is better, and the New Day prevailed, and they pinned them cleanly, which I like. I like it when the New Day is presented that way, where they're good enough to beat you. It's not all fun and games until the end, and then it's all fun and games. So that was a good match. You had Kalisto going over Alberto Del Rio, re-winning the U.S. title. This match, in my opinion, while good, was fairly sloppy. I felt like a lot of the spots were awful. I felt like they didn't connect the moves quite as good. But that being said, it still wasn't that bad of a match. Yes, it was sloppy, but no, it wasn't bad. And I would look forward to seeing a rematch. Maybe not on the grandest stage of them all, but I would like to see another match in the near future. Now we move on to Becky Lynch challenging Charlotte. This match was really good as well. It went a little longer than I thought it should have, but it wasn't a terrible match. Charlotte did retain her title. I kind of felt like, even though I love Ric Flair to death, his presence at ringside got a little ridiculous. His interference got a little ridiculous, to where I don't understand any other scenario the referee would have thrown him out. It was a little distracting to me, just the fact that Flair was just there the whole time, in the way. And now it's time to get to that Rumble match, 30-man over-the-top battle royal, and the match is pretty good. A couple surprises. One thing you may not have known going in, I didn't. You always wonder who's going to be in the match. You look at the roster, you're like, all right, there's like 50, 60 guys that could potentially be in it. I thought it was interesting that only one of the Social Outcasts were in the match, Curtis Axel, which of course he's the one to pick since he was still in the Royal Rumbles from last year. He didn't do all too much and was eliminated fairly quickly. Every year there are people who enter the Rumble that you don't expect, that you didn't expect, unless you're following the internet feeds. And if you didn't follow them, you were treated to the premiere of AJ Styles at the number 3 spot. And AJ Styles made my entire night just because he got so over and people were chanting his name even when he wasn't doing anything. The crowd was a smart crowd. They were very ready for AJ Styles. I did like him and Reigns being alone in the ring when he first came out. And I enjoyed the fact that he was just in there the whole time. He did some of his moves. He didn't get to show off a lot. He never got to hit the Styles Clash. He went for it like 12 times. Styles Clash is a really fun move. I am glad he is here in the WWE. I cannot wait for him to maybe fight Cesaro, or maybe Daniel Bryan will come back. God knows, it's wrestling, it's WWE. But I'm very excited for AJ Styles. It is worth noting that the League of Nations had a great spot where they pulled Roman Reigns out of the ring without eliminating him, and they beat the living piss out of him, and Rusev did a nice spot jumping over from one table to the other and putting him through the Spanish announce table with a big dive. It was a pretty good move. It was interesting. Rusev looked like he crushed himself just as badly, and Reigns was taken out of the match and left under his own power slowly, and you knew he would come back, but you didn't know when. The Miz was entertaining, not refusing to go into the match until later, until Brock Lesnar got eliminated, which, let's talk about Lesnar. He came in, he crushed a bunch of people, he suplexed a bunch of people, but the Wyatts ultimately did get rid of him. He did eliminate a lot of people, and the Wyatts, when they did eliminate him under Bray's order, all three of them were no longer legally in the match. But it's a no DQ match, so it's completely legal, which is kind of BS, but that's okay. So Bray looked really strong towards the end. Jericho had been hanging in there the whole time. Jericho had been in there, I believe, since the 6th position. And he looked all right. Kofi Kingston had his one moment where he cheated elimination. He got thrown out and landed on Big E's shoulders, and Big E just walked him around the ring, and he was taking drinks from fans and just hanging out with the fans. I believe it was Jericho who eventually kicked him off his shoulders on the outside. Reigns did return. It looked like Reigns was going to win. He was going to hold on to his title, and we were all going to boo that because that's no fun. But number 30 did come out, and it was Triple H. And Triple H looks good. Triple H is always in shape, and I had heard this before the match that he was rumored to be in it, so I wasn't as surprised. I wish I hadn't heard it, because I thought it was great. It was billed as, he's the last hope of the Authority to stop Roman Reigns. When you get down to it, it starts breaking down, and you have Roman Reigns eliminating someone, and Triple H throws him out. And you are left with Dean Ambrose and Triple H, and one of them is your new champion. And after a nice little slugfest, it was Triple H. So, overall, the match was great. The pay-per-view was pretty good overall. Could it have been a little better? It always can be a little better, but I was very happy. So, thank you for listening. This is the Rumble Breakdown as quickly as I could do it, and thank you for checking out our stuff. You can find us at capesandscalespodcast.com, and more wrestling to come and more wrestling on YouTube. Thank you.